Very good evening, friends. I hope you're all doing safe and healthy. Well, as a part of the Did You Know series, which I started off with you, I am going to continue with the series. And today, what is coming to my mind is something on India's 8. There is a particular question which keeps bothering a lot of people, and that is what is an accounting policy? Well, of course, you can remember the definition, but I think we need to understand the essence of the definition. So what I'm going to do today, I am going to actually, give you in a very simple words with a simple examples to decide that what is an accounting policy. Trust me, it's going to be absolutely fun learning. जैसे कि आप जानते हैं, इंस्टीट्यूट ने फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग के अंदर बहुत सारे चेंजेस किए हैं स्टडी मटेरियल के अंदर और उनमें से एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट चेंज उन्होंने कंसोलिडेशन के अंदर किया है इन स्पेसिफिक अगर कहूं तो इंडेस 28 के अंदर हम ये जानते हैं इक्विटी मेथड अप्लाई करता है लेकिन अगर मान लीजिए आपके पास इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं इन अदर लॉन्ग टर्म इंटरेस्ट इन एन एसोसिएट या फिर जॉइंट वेंचर तो फिर एसोसिएट के और जॉइंट वेंचर के लॉसेस उन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को भी एलोकेट किए जाते हैं। मैं आपके साथ इस पर एक स्पेशल क्लास लेने वाला हूं और इसकी डिस्कशन आपके साथ करेंगे कल सुबह 9 बजे। उसका लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन के अंदर मिलेगा। आप उस क्लास को बिल्कुल फ्री देख सकते हैं। बस आपको सिर्फ मेरा कोड इस्तेमाल करना है, क्लास को अनलॉक करना है। तो मैं कल आपके साथ एक डिटेल्ड डिस्कशन करूंगा, एक इक्विटी मेथड की बातचीत भी करेंगे और साथ में आपके साथ एक डिटेल्ड डिस्कशन करेंगे इन अदर लॉन्ग टर्म इंटरेस्ट को लेके। तो आइए लेट्स क्रैक इट। When you look at the definition of an accounting policy, which is given in Index 8, trust me, I'm not even interested in reading the definition as it is. And when I look at the definition, what comes to mind is not the initial part of the definition, but there are two very important keywords in the definition, and that is preparation and presentation of financial statements. The question what comes to the mind is what is preparation and what is presentation? Well, I would say preparation would mean that you're looking at recognition, you're looking at measurement. Because when I say preparation of financial statements, it would mean the recognition criteria and it is the measurement principles in the index. And presentation, of course, means the presentation what you do in the financial statements of the company, the balance sheet, the income statement. Well, let me give you a very quick trick on this. Well, generally, if you need to decide, whether it is an accounting policy, you should put across a very simple question. Do you have an option? Do you got a choice in terms of recognition criteria? Do you got a choice in terms of a measurement principle? And do you got a choice in terms of presentation? But nevertheless, I'm not saying that every time there is a choice, there is an option, it's going to be an accounting policy. But trust me, majority of the cases, if you face an option in terms of a recognition criteria, a measurement principle, as well as a presentation, it's going to be an accounting policy. I know what is coming to your mind. Can you give examples on each of this area? Yes, let's begin with the first one, recognition criteria. Like for example, when you look at India's 116 in terms of leased assets, we've got an option because if you look at the recognition exemption given in 116, if it is supposed to be a short-term lease or if it is supposed to be a low-valued asset, you've got an option. You may choose not to present the asset or liability. So it is about recognizing the asset or liability or not. So that means you've got a recognition choice. Now let's take an example in terms of the measurement principle, which is very common and you keep hearing that. Let's say you think in terms of property, plant, equipment, Index 16. Or let's say you think in terms of Index 38, intangible assets, where you subsequently measure the PPE or you subsequently measure the intangible assets, you've got a choice. You can use a cost model or you could use a revaluation model. So you got a choice in terms of measurement. The amount at which the asset would appear in the financial statements is going to vary. Let's take a choice in terms of presentation. If you think in terms of India's 20 government grants, you would see that when there is a grant related to assets, you've got two alternative presentations. Number one, you could present a grant related to asset under a deductive approach. That means you show the grant in the balance sheet by reducing it from the value of the asset. Alternatively, you could show the grant separately as a deferred income on the liability side of the balance sheet and the asset remains at a gross value. So naturally, the presentation is going to be too different. So trust me, when you think in terms of accounting policy, there is a litmus test which you could apply, that when it is a recognition criteria, do you go to choice, do this or that? When it's a measurement principle, do you go to choice, measure at cost or a fair value? When it is a presentation, you've got two alternatives. Remember, it is an indication of that it's an accounting policy. But of course, after saying this, I would also like to say that even there may not be choices. Like, you value the inventories at cost or NRV, whichever is less. It's an accounting principle, it's an accounting policy. But this is a very simple litmus test of identifying the accounting policy. Isn't that fun? Right. So I think with that, you would have understood, what is a litmus test on identification. Great. Thank you.